Dear friends, I chose one topic which is connected to Central European, in particular Czechoslovakia and Slovakia, because Spanish art was an original gift since the First World War. The largest and the best collection of Picasso is in Prague. If we skip poetry, or if we skip other artists, like if we omit Dalí and Miró, what comes next is an exhibition, 1946, Parisian or Republican Spaniards. We can say that Czechoslovakia starts 10 years after the foundation of Czechoslovakia, experiences raised interest in Spain, represented by books or by art, such as Jan Rambosek, or Travel with Manes. Book. This is the book Spain in our, especially during Spanish Civil War. We supported the left party, left wing. We didn't think of the consequences about Stalin supporters, and so we said Spain in us, and in Madrid we fight for Prague. This was reflected in poetry and also fine arts. And we established clubs of democratic friendship with democratic Spain. They published magazines. Many famous poets also published texts in these publications about Spanish Civil War. What is interesting here, that even one of the heroes of Czech painting, Josef Šíma, created already in as early as 1934, he created a reproduction in a post stamp. But the most important collection was the anthology To Spain, or For Spain, or To Spain. It was an anthology for an exhibition in Prague against the Nazi power, which started to rise in 1936. Spanish context had a romantic tradition. It started with bullfights, such as in Titelbach, but also there were strong influences of Dalí. I wrote a book where I discussed tens of examples. Many of our artists dealt with Spanish topics in the 30s. The party of Franco was a target of many caricature artists. This is the Miró's composition, which is today in the National Gallery, and it was exhibited in 1932. I showed all these pictures because it reflected the sympathy which was raised by particular groups for the Republican Spain, but we can call it for Spain in general, because the Republican Party was a decisive factor in France, in the economy of France. And when the Second World War finished, we established new contacts with Paris immediately, and the first artists who traveled there were, the first one was Otta Mizera. He represented the French Spaniards. They were called Republican Spaniards, but not all of them were Republican because they already settled in France before the war. 99% of them, however, were Republicans, and John Miró was one of them. He is famous for his famous poster in the Spanish pavilion in Paris, Expo. So at the very beginning, there was a big propaganda, if we can call it this way. We were informed that all of these artists, which are on the picture, will come to visit us. They were followers of Picasso, and they were either friends or tolerated friends of Picasso. Together with Mizera, there was also Janeček, we will see him as well, and a number of other artists, theoreticians, such as Hofmeister, who worked in as a diplomat, or Shima, and also young Ničko, who left for Spain shortly after war. In the end of January, the first foreign exhibition in Manes in Prague was the exhibition of the art of Republican Spain. This was then transferred to Brno, and Domínguez, some of the artists, such as Domínguez, also appeared in Bratislava. They played a big role in society, in the art society. We can say that it was a social event, not only artistic event. The artists themselves said that they will drive tanks and they will go to Spain and they will free Spain. On the Czechoslovak part, there was an attempt to renew contacts with the Republican government, which did not exist. In fact, it existed abroad. This is presentation at the Prague Castle, 1946. The ambassador Garcia Miranda, and he visited President Beneš. He presented his credentials to Mr. Beneš. A year and a half ago, Beneš was also member of government in exile. So this was he was sympathetic of Miranda at that time. The exhibition in Manes became a big social event. It was also an artistic event, and there were weeks of Spanish dance organized at the same time, which was to highlight our sympathy for Spanish people. Therefore, they were presented as Republican Spaniards, not as French Spaniards or Paris Spaniards. I would like to show Manes the way it looks today after being refurbished. These are pictures from the exhibition, opened in 1946. It was a whole collection of Picasso. This head was acquired, and later it went to the National Gallery. Many other paintings went to National Gallery, and they were either purchased at this exhibition or later from private collections, and they all went to the National Gallery. regarding the fact that in one case there was illegal appropriation, and today the largest collection is in Ostrava. This is a view into the exhibition of sculptures by Lobo, Condoy, Gonzalez. This is the famous surrealist artist. His value in sculpture is undeniable. This corner shows works by Óscar Domínguez. We can say that he triumphed personally as a person and as an artist in the Czechoslovak area. It was a social question. The exhibition was opened by the Minister of Culture, Zdeněk Nejedlý. He's standing in front of the works. And again, we can see the head, the painting of the head, which is in the National Gallery today. All the other paintings went back to Paris. They were not acquired. After the end of opening night, the minister Nejedlý is with the Spanish artists. There are 8 of them with their wives. They were supposed to be 11 artists, but some of them had to cancel their participation. Some of the participants were the director of National Gallery, Vladimír Novotný, Paderlík, and we would find many other famous faces. Here, this is the group of Spanish artists. Kale in the middle, Domínguez, Lobo, and others, forming the Spanish group. One more view of the installation of the first exhibition in February 1940, January-February 1946. At this occasion, the Spanish artists were invited in studios of our artists, and this is a picture from the Vladimír Sichra studio. He also focused on Spanish topics even before the war and also during the war. This is Sichra. This is the curtain for D37 theater. Sichra painted this picture, and in the end it was used on our post stamps. The third of the Czech people was Otta Mizera. He also helped the exhibition. He worked as an interpreter and translator. There are other people, but they're not so important. This is a war motif by Sichra. I'm showing all this to see the motifs so that you can see reminiscence of Dalí or the Paris school. So the Spanish artists could feel home in the Czech Republic, as is apparent in these reproductions by Otta Janeček and the graphics by Otta Mizera. Our artists were on about the same level as some of the Paris Spaniards, and they understood each other, being all of them being followers of Picasso and other artists, Gris, Julio González, another picture. You can see Sichra here. Kave, sorry. This is Kave, who faced was standing backwards. Next to Sichra's wife is standing next to Vladimír Sichra. She's also a painter, painting, and she painted Spanish topics as well. This photograph is from the studio of Arnošt Paderlík, and you can see it was they were large visits of many people. It wasn't. It was nothing small. Sichra and Paderlík is.
There you can see Paderlík here, and next to him is Sichra. On the left there is Mizera, also Calais, and some other Spaniards, and so on. I see this is the dynamism of the social impact of this exhibition. Here you can see a still life of Arnošt Paderlík. You can see a juicy painting, which is nothing to compare to Peinar or others. There was this mentality of the working class, and the Spanish artists volunteered to help with the coal on the Holešovice railway station. All the 8 or 7 Spaniards helped with getting the coal out of the carriage. One of them broke their arm, so he did not have to volunteer. Here you can see them before they get on the carriage. These pictures were taken by their friend and remain in the archives. You can see the pictures of Chochola, where you can see Domínguez speaking with Paderlík, and there you can see also the French critic de Langlade, who was a theoretician. On this picture, you can see Óscar Domínguez with one of the best Czech art critics after the Second World War, Jindřich Chaloupecký. There were also some fun moments. This photograph is really famous, how Domínguez picks something from his teeth after his lunch with Chochola. I also wanted to talk about this topic because Domínguez was also in Olomouc when he got back to Paris at the turn of 1947 and 1948. He gets to Olomouc. He was invited by Jára Šolc. Domínguez had one exhibition here, and he painted all of the pictures here in the Czech Republic, as you can see on the picture down there. You can see the pictures that were painted right in Olomouc. However, people that recall these moments are dead now, and their children are not that much interested in this topic. So a lot of these arts were sold abroad. Jára Šolc was an expressionist artist, so he became a great friend with Domínguez, but then he moved to socialist realism. Here you can see a picture from the opening night of the exhibition that took place in December 1947. Domínguez was reading some texts, and Mr. Krupka, the referent for culture, was talking there. Here you can see Domínguez with the sculptor Jára Šolc and his wife, Dr. Marta Šolcová, which helped them to get the works to a museum here in Olomouc. Here you can see another picture of the friends of Domínguez in Olomouc. I will not name all of them, but here in the corner you can see one of his pictures. However, it is put under glass, so there is a reflection of something else, but still it can be identified. Uh, Domínguez painted this picture in Olomouc, and it was one of the key pictures of this museum. However, later it was given to a museum in Ostrava. Another picture uh, made its way to Museum of Prostějov. I wanted to, well, in 1997, I wanted to remind people of the visit of Domínguez in Olomouc, so we prepared an exhibition of Domínguez in Czechoslovakia. I want to show that we are going in circles, Paris, Prague, Spain, and other places, because Domínguez chose the last place of his visit to be Bratislava, and he visited Mr. Murdoch, and he painted a picture there, and this will be exhibited in, in Tenerife, in the birthplace of Domínguez. What is really interesting here is the cyclicity. In the 60s, when artists were looking at the roots of modern fine art, they found out that there is nothing from the French fine art, but we have a lot of arts from Spaniards. Uh, the French artworks came later, and but it was not of such quality as the Spanish artworks. Uh, Dr. Hovorková prepared um, um, s- she chose some artworks to uh, present them at the exhibition, and it was when I started to collect some of the works of Parisian Spaniards. That was in 1986 when I was preparing exhibition for Prague of the artworks of us, Óscar Domínguez, and I was punished for that because they told me that it's not realistic, so I don't like to look back at this. The tradition of the innovative ways of Spanish artworks uh, was there even in the 70s when I talked to a bit younger artists that were stuck in the normalization era and they could not travel anywhere. When I asked them about the important names of the Spanish painting, this was an exhibition which took place under the after the death of Franco, when the new diplomatic contacts started to appear again. Um, this exhibition was organized, and there were some works from Miró and Dalí and other important artists. After the fall of the communism, I also organized an exhibition of Honorio Garcia Condoy that was later moved to Bratislava, and he was not that visible, not such a visible member of the Spanish group. He could not stay in Prague, and afterwards he got a recommendation to go to Budapest, and later on he got back to Paris. This is just there is just one letter that was addressed to Kondoy that can be found in the archives. There were other exhibitions in Prague and in Brno in 1946 and 1993 and 1994. I I could go on, but I think I ran out of time, so I will get to the conclusion. I think that in these days you can see the resurrection of Dali, because there was a big campaign, a big exhibition where there should be also Dali himself, but it was not him in person. Later on, Chochola came and took some photographs of Dali in Paris, and I recommended him to continue to Barcelona as well. We could continue on this topic, but even Dali himself admitted that Chochola's work is really great. We can also see that in Prague. Thank you very much.